Okay, then I think we'll get started. Welcome everyone to our second in our series of webinars, which are basically designed for SME firms or people that work in SME firms who want to start using artificial intelligence, but they don't really know how to get started and haven't really got the time to do the research. So what we're here to show you today is a few little sort of productivity hacks where you can really just use basic AI really quickly to start making a difference to your daily life business. So my name is Bruce Penson. I'm the Managing Director of ProDrive, and I'm joined by Chris Morrell. Chris Morrell's our Operations Director. So just to get started, we're going to just quick summary of where we are today. As I'm sure you're all aware, AI has been moving at a fast pace since the launch of ChatGPT. It's dominated the news, it's dominated a lot of business press, and you've probably noticed that there's lots and lots of software applications, add-ins for other applications, products from Microsoft, which all purport to be built around AI and potentially will change the way you do business. There is an awful lot of hype, and it's easy to get lost in that. But amongst the hype, there's some really, really useful things that do actually make a difference. And where we're seeing it in business is there's largely kind of four strands to how AI is being used in most businesses at the moment, most SME businesses. We'll start off with the obvious area is within what we call line of business applications. So for instance, if you were an accountancy firm, it would be in your accountancy practice management software. And this is where the software companies are building some AI into their software to automate some of the existing workflows in there. And generally speaking, that's fairly easy to get going with because it fits in with what you're doing already. You've then got the chatbots. So ChatGPT is probably the most commonly known one. Microsoft has released one called Bing Chat Enterprise, which is essentially a Microsoft version of ChatGPT. And that's where you ask questions. You've probably seen it before, and we'll be doing a demo with chatbot later. Microsoft are also releasing something called Copilot. It's available to enterprise businesses. SME firms have to wait a little bit longer before they can get their hands on it. Essentially, that's bringing AI into the Microsoft Office applications to analyze your data and also to enable complex functions to be simplified. We'll show a demo of that later as well, albeit without using Copilot yet at this stage. And the final thing is the productivity applications. So there's lots of freely available. Often you can use them on a trial or a free version. Applications online which can do things like help produce slides for presentations, a bit like this one, help produce artwork and various other things that any kind of organization might do. As an individual, you might do it as well. And the AI is there to try and help make those processes easier. So without further ado, we're going to move over to our demo. So Chris is going to take things from here. So Chris, if you share your screen now, please, and I'll pop back later. If you have any questions, by the way, please put them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Bruce. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's had a good break over Christmas and is ready to start using ChatGPT a little bit more in their day-to-day working life. I'm going to show you a few things that I've been using it for recently to save a bit of time. One of the things that I had to do, sorry, I've just shared my screen. Hopefully everybody can see it. One of the things that I had to do recently was to watch a video about a new Microsoft service or product. It's like a VPN. It's not out on general release yet, so there's a lot of information that's flying around that's not 100% accurate. And I just wanted to find a video, be able to summarize it. So I went to this guy, John Saville, who I follow videos on YouTube. He's very good. But the video about it is, as you can see, there's 48 minutes long. At this point, we're probably not going to implement it yet. I wasn't really that interested. I didn't want to spend 50 minutes of my time watching the video and then summarizing it. So I thought I would use ChatGPT to try and help me. Now, ChatGPT can't, as yet, watch YouTube videos. So somehow I've got to get the transcript from the video in text form and I've got to put it into ChatGPT. Fortunately, there are lots of websites that can do this for you. And the one that I use is one called youtubetranscripts.com. And all you need to do is to copy the URL of the YouTube video and paste it in, and it will give you the entire transcript. Hopefully, it'll pop up. There you go. So it goes through the whole thing. Now, what I need to do is to copy this and put it into ChatGPT. One of the reasons I like this service rather than any of the others is that there's a button to just copy the entire transcript. So I can do that really easily. So I've got that. If I then go to ChatGPT, I can ask ChatGPT, can you summarize this for me? I can paste in the transcript from the video. As you can see, there's quite a lot there. So if you try to read that yourself, that would take a considerable amount of time. And let's scroll down to the bottom. And it's starting to do that, starting to go through and summarize it. Now, rather than sit here and us watch it type it out, obviously, I've got one that I tried earlier. And so there's exactly the same transcript. I've asked it the same thing, and it's given me a summary. Now, I have watched the video. I have read through this summary and everything, and it's pretty accurate. I would struggle to summarize it better without taking a long time. So in maybe 30 seconds, I was able to summarize a 50-minute video and it be pretty accurate. That might not be enough, and you might then want to tailor the information that it's given you. So what I wanted to do in this example was I wanted to summarize it, and then I wanted to tell the team about it, because this is something that we may well be deploying to our clients in the future. If they can know about it earlier, yeah, that's good stuff. So I then said, okay, well, can you summarize it for a technical team of engineers at an MSP? So ProDrive is an MSP. That means we're a managed service provider. But I didn't even have to put in that full description. MSP was enough. What it's then done is it's given a much more technical overview of that video. And it's gone into a lot more detail about the technical parts of it, which was exactly what I wanted. So that was brilliant. Now, you may want to do this for a non-technical person. Maybe you're wanting to to present it to a client or something. Again, you can do that. You can just ask for a summary for a more non-technical person. What I then did is I asked to compare the functionality to another product. NordLayer is another product that does roughly the same thing. So I thought it would be useful to get the comparison there. So I've done that. And as you can see, it's given a load of information comparing the two, which is really useful. It's nothing I couldn't have done by myself. It's nothing I couldn't have done with a little bit of searching on Google, but it has done it an awful lot quicker. So if we jump back, we can see that it's finished the summation of the first video. I didn't look at it. It probably maybe would have taken 30 seconds or so. In about a minute, we can get that information. That saved me, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something. There was actually 2 videos I needed to look at because there's another part to it. So it probably saved me maybe 30 minutes to an hour or something. And that doesn't even include, watching the video. So that's really useful thing that you can do. As long as ChatGPT can go to that web link, the transcript can go to that web link, you can get the transcript and you can put it into ChatGPT. I'm quite sure that soon enough they will be able to watch the videos themselves and summarize based on it. But for now, it's a limitation. So the next thing I wanted to talk about briefly was something that I demonstrated in that example, and that's called prompt chaining. So prompt chaining is a fancy word for narrowing ChatGPT down to give you information that's more relevant for you or for what you're looking for in particular. A good example that I could give on this is you could go onto ChatGPT and you could say that I'm going on a holiday to New York. Can you give me some suggestions of things I should do there? And it will do. It'll go away. It'll come back with some information. It'll be great. If I then say I'm going between, the 5th and the 12th of February, it will start to look for information on the internet about events that are available then. So it's given a bit more context. It's going to narrow it down and the results are going to be a bit more relevant to me. You can go a bit further and say, I'm going with my wife. We enjoy art. We like steak and we like salsa dancing. And it will then become even more relevant to what I'm looking for. So prompt chaining is really important when you're using, I'm saying ChatGPT, any of these chatbots, because it allows you to get a much better response and a much more relevant response for what you're looking for. So that's something to bear in mind and to practice using. If you don't like the results, i.e. you ask it something that seems to be going wrong, you can just tell it that's not right. That's not what I was looking for. And it's strange. I have found myself a few times where I am getting into a conversation with ChatGPT, as you would with a human person, where you're directing it a lot more for the information that you want, and then you just get better results. So the next thing that I wanted to share with you is something else that I've been using ChatGPT for quite a lot, and that's for Excel formulas. I use Excel a lot in my job. I'm not very good at the formulas, and I typically take a long time to work it out, and then I forget all about it, and then the next time I have to do it, I'm almost teaching myself again. It's quite an inefficient way of working. So I was very keen to see what ChatGPT could do in that regard, and I found that it's really useful. So I've got an example spreadsheet, which I'll need to change the sharing on so that I can show you. So let me just do that very quickly. Hopefully you can all see that. So this is the Excel document. So I've been tracking when we make feedback calls. ProDrive, we're really keen on getting feedback on our service, and we get the engineers and everybody in the business to make feedback calls. And if there's any ProDrive clients on this webinar, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about because they would have received a call. So anyway, I want to track it and make sure I know how many calls my engineers have made. So what I want to do is look here, and I want it to look at at cell B13 and C13. And if those exist in this worksheet, I then want it to pull the information from this cell, in column FC. Now, if I was to try and work that out myself, sorry, I'm just changing back to the ChatGPT prompt. If I was trying to do that myself, it would take me ages, and I would spend an awfully long time trying to do it. So what I've done is I've just typed that out here. I said I've got a document where the contents of the two cells, B13, C13, matching columns A and B. Then in the separate worksheet, display the contents of column FC. Now, I've written that really as if I was talking to somebody and as if I was trying to explain it to someone that had a lot more knowledge of Excel than me. Let's see how it goes. So I have done this before a few times in case something like this happens, because this is a live demo. So there's every chance that it will. There we go. That's good. So it's going to go through, it's checking what I'm saying, and it's going to come back with a formula for me. And then it's going to explain the formula a bit. Now that, to me, with my Excel knowledge, is quite a complex formula. It's not something that I would be able to come up with without thinking, certainly not without reverting to Google to try and find out if it was the right version or not. So I'm just going to switch back to Excel. And I'm going to switch back, hopefully using a better way of doing it so that you're not having to see the prompt all the time. So if I paste the formula into there and we cross our fingers, what we should find is that it gives us a result. And because I've practiced this, I know that that's the right result. So at the minute, it is now pulling the information from those 4 columns there. And if I was to change that to 11, we should see if the formula works, it's changed to 11 as well. It has. So as I said, that's the formula there. I wouldn't be able to work that out quickly. That would take me some time. You saw how quick it was for me to do it on ChatGPT. And again, you can then go a bit further, and perhaps we say that we want to get the sum of this info of the last 6 weeks, rather than just this last week. Save typing it in, everything. I've got that saved here, and I've said that I want to do the sum of the content of columns EX to FC and not just what's in column FC. It's come back with an even more complicated formula. And if I paste that into here, we should see, there we go, and it's worked. So Again, it would take me quite a long time to come up with that formula, and it probably wouldn't work. And I'd probably spend ages going onto Google, looking at all sorts of different sites, trying to find out how to get it working properly. And you saw how quick it was and how accurate it was using ChatGPT. So this is something I think that's probably saved me the most time over the last couple of months, because I've been using it an awful lot, and I found it incredibly accurate and incredibly useful. So that's it. I didn't want to go on for too long. Hopefully that's enough for people to see and get some ideas about how they might be able to use ChatGPT to do things in their day-to-day life. I'll stop sharing and hand back to Bruce.
Thank you, Chris. I think the interesting thing there as well is it's not just about saving time. As just demonstrating in Excel, Chris was saying that he probably wouldn't have the knowledge to do those formulas if he wasn't using ChatGPT. So actually, it's enabling people to use some of these applications, more of the advanced features of these applications, like Excel, or if you imagine there's some of the other Microsoft applications as well, which can get quite complex. Using some of those features that you wouldn't bother using normally because you just don't have the knowledge to use them. So it really does become a real leveler on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was just going to say, and I know you mentioned Copilot earlier. I think the plan is from Microsoft that they will build AI into these products. So within a fairly short period of time, you'll have this built in and you'll be able to use this natively within the application. At the minute, it's not there, which is why we're using something separate. But I think that's where everything's going, and that's certainly where the software companies are focusing on.
Yes, absolutely. That's right. And I think that's the trend we're going to see over the next kind of 12 months, is that this type of technology, the sort of stuff you can do now using ChatGPT, but you need to do a bit of copying and pasting. There's going to be an AI button in most applications that will allow you to do those things natively in them. And if anyone's been watching the news recently, there's been a change announced to the sort of typical Microsoft Windows keyboard. So this will be coming out onto any kind of PC that you go into the shop and buy. There's going to be an AI button on it, which I know has been kind of touted as being a major revolution. It's not really. It's just they're just changing the Windows menu button for an AI button. But expect to see that being kind of linked into this AI feature that's going to be appearing in lots of applications in the future. So I think that's us done in terms of the demo. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any in the chat so far. If you do have any, please put them in the chat now, and we'll do our very best to answer them. Whilst we're waiting there, Chris, are there any kind of resources that you can point people to finding out about this sort of stuff? Obviously, you've got quite a few useful tips here, and should people, who are on this webinar want to go out and research a few more things, or other than attending the next ProDrive webinar, which we'll announce fairly shortly, are there any kind of hints you've got for them?
There are a lot of resources out there that on social media of people sort of, the 10 tips to use with AI. So that's all great and everything. ChatGPT is where I would start. If you want to know if ChatGPT can do something, ask it. If you're struggling with something on an application or work, ask if it can do that, and that will get you going on it. So that would be the first point of call that I would look to. But then I guess you can, if that fails, you can Google it. Or I know personally, my Twitter feed is full of people talking about AI hints.
Yeah, there's no shortage of information out there. Okay, well, we don't have any questions. So on that note, then we'll wrap up for today. So thank you everyone for attending. Hope this is useful. Do check out the ProDrive YouTube channel. There's lots of useful tips and hints on there, and also our blog as well. And there'll be more AI content coming soon, including another webinar to follow this one with more sort of practical tips that you can put to use in day-to-day sort of business life. So with that, we'll wrap up. And thank you for attending.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.